Wowza. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Week 5 Commission Address. We are officially 1 week removed from a rivalry week, and some big news in the NFL. The Jets head coach Robert Saleh was fired yesterday. This comes as a bit of a surprise, as he didn't seem like they were given a chance to really figure it out. He's a defensive coach, and the defense was playing really well, but obviously there was some shit going on with Rodgers, it would appear, and maybe he'll be fighting to get Adams there. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Teams that let go of their coach mid-season don't usually end up doing very well for the rest of the year. The Jets, through 5 weeks this year, had 93 points on offense with Aaron Rodgers, and through 5 weeks last year in 2023 without Aaron Rodgers, they had 93 points. So the offense actually hasn't improved. In fact, I'm pretty sure we would see a decline in the fantasy value coming from Garrett Wilson over there. So an interesting story to follow there. In the games this weekend, defenses were huge. There was a couple of block kicks. There was a 100-yard pick six. There was a 6-yard pick six. There was a 100-yard fumble recovery touchdown by the Seattle Seahawks, which, if you guys see the replay, I recommend going to watch it. I feel like the Giants had the touchdown. I am pretty sure he crossed the plane, but they're saying he fumbled early. Seattle scooped it up in their own end zone and rushed it 101 yards for the touchdown. One other thing I wanted to touch on is we did have some good passing touchdown volume this week. You know, in week 3 it was a bit of an uptick. Week 1 and 2 were a little bit slow, but I feel like there was some big plays. There was some big passing plays, especially Nico Collins caught a huge touchdown before he regrettingly got injured, and just today got moved to IR. So Fajita having to deal with that. But I wanted to touch on the tight end market. Going into the season, there was 5 tight ends that were unanimously top 5. You could throw Kittle in there, if you wanted to throw him in as 6. But there was Kelsey, McBride, Kincaid, Laporta, and Andrews, and you could kind of organize them however you wanted to. I went through their games and combined those 5 through 5 weeks, so 25 potential games, have an average of 3.25 catches per game, an average of 33.5 yards per game, and they have 1 touchdown combined through 25 weeks. So if you were to average out those top 5 players right now and work it out per week and extrapolate it over the season, they would end up with 119 fantasy points. 119 fantasy points would have been good enough for the 11th best tight end last year, right after Dalton Schultz. So the top 5 tight ends this year going into the draft are failing to be as good as Dalton Schultz was last year per game. Yikes. The tight end market is crazy. It's crazy. Let's get into the matchups. Brown, Neighbors Cooksmell taking on Big DK Energy. You know, I was feeling good about this matchup. And then Casey would just come back out of nowhere, and he just wouldn't go away. And he had Kareem Hunt playing on Monday night, and he was making me nervous. He was down 10, and Kareem Hunt had an early touchdown. He was on a roll. He had 27 carries and 1 for 1 and through the air. He had 28 opportunities. That was scary, but I was able to take the victory. Casey did leave some points on the bench, benching Brandon Ayuk. He's been sub 10 points all year, so I can't really blame you. He didn't have a touchdown, but he did have a breakout week. He finally looked the part that the 49ers paid him to do. I did pick up Leggett before the week. I think I actually paid some money for him, but he was not doing well. And then he got injured actually after I dropped him, or at least I didn't find out he was injured until after I dropped him. I picked up Bo Nix again. I had 4 quarterbacks with more than 23 points, and I started the right 2. So go me. I picked up Flacco and started him over Caleb Williams, and then I picked up Bo Nix later in the week. I will be 2-0 on the week. Casey did beat the league median, which is about 142, so he will be 1-1. Big fucking anime TDs taking on Greasy Boners. Greasy Boners just above league median and just above big fucking anime TDs. It was a close matchup. Lamar Jackson, 33 points. Tucker Kraft, what a pickup and start he was. Dontavian Wicks was, I think, the one expected to be, the opportunity for a couple of tutties. But Dontavian Wicks was not good. Tucker Kraft, however, was good, 4 for 5. He had a big stiff arm there, too, on one of his TD runs. It was quite nice. Nico Collins put on IR. He had 2 catches, one for about 70 yards and a tutty. And that was a nice one, but I think he pulled his hamstring. But he's going to be out for a little bit. He has been so solid for Greasy Boners thus far. Brian Thomas, the rookie, looking good with 23 points. It looks like maybe, just maybe, the Jacksonville Jaguars are turning it around a little bit. They finally come away with a win in quite a shootout battle, 37-34 against Indianapolis. But they will be getting Ingram back here soon, and they're starting to look a little bit more healthy. Speaking of healthy, Anthony Richardson, I don't know what's going on with him, but he hurt his hip. Now he's still questionable for week 6 coming up, which is crazy. Joe Mixon, it looks like Houston are really missing Mixon, and so they'll be happy to get him back when he gets in. Tank Bigsby, he was a good pickup this week. He was so efficient, 13 carries for 101. And 2 tutties and another catch through the air for 28 yards. Greasy Boners will be 2-0 on the week, and Big Fucking Anime TDs will be 0-2. Now, I almost want to do Superman and Bitch of the Week in the same week, but I can't do it. And I'm sorry, Nick, but this trumps it. I was talking to Mickey on Friday, and he was just ready to sell the week. Sell it. He didn't have a tight end. He had people on his bench he didn't want to get rid of. He had people, he dropped people. He was all over. He was making some moves. He picked up Jordan Whittington, who ended up with 15 points. What he couldn't do, though, was pick up a running back, because we have short benches in our league. And so he went without a running back. And he won. He beat you. Olave, 3 points. Deontay Johnson, 5.9. You had Jacoby Myers on the bench with 13. Tutu Atwell with 12. I know it's hard to start those guys, but you lost by 3 points. This would have been huge for you, Nick, if you could have got another win here, as you sit there and cross your fingers and hope that CMC is going to come back. Congrats to Mickey, even though you each did not meet the league median this week. This was your first heads-up victory, Mickey, this season, so congrats on that, and you can certainly start trash talking again. AUG Rection taking on Dak Street Boys. This was a tight matchup. Joe Burrow, 30 for 39, 392, and 5 touchdowns. This game was a shootout as Baltimore would win 41-38. The Bengals missed a kick late and failed to capitalize on the Lamar Jackson turnover, and Lamar got the ball back and Derrick Henry took it down the field, and then they kicked and they won because Justin Tucker doesn't miss from 30 yards. 139 to 130, another matchup where both teams failed to meet the league median. Ooh, Darnell Mooney on the bench. Will, that is rough. He's been, I guess 8.6 is a little not great. Who did you start over here? Metcalf and Jamar Chase. Okay, that's fair. That's tough though. Mooney sitting there, certainly destroying Pittman's numbers. Pittman wasn't a bad start, obviously, with Flacco in and not Richardson. Had Richardson started, maybe you would have started Mooney instead of Pittman in that spot and made out a little better. That's unfortunate. Cleveland defense coming up decent for Jordan with 20 points, and he will be 1-1 on the week. And Dak Street Boys will be 0-2. Barry McCockiner taking on Chief of Stafford. This was a fairly high-scoring matchup, all things considered. Chief of Stafford, 136 in the loss. Wade with 155 in the victory. Kirk Cousins dropped back and threw the ball 58 times for 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I think, what is he, third this week in quarterback points because of Burrow and Lamar? Maybe he's second. He might have been better than Lamar, but he was huge for Wade this week. Josh Downs had a big week. He was a good start with Joe Flacco in. Kyle Pitts looking like not Kyle Pitts. And Derrick Henry did enough. Darnold didn't have to do much in the victory for the Vikings. The defense seems to be getting them off to an early lead, and then, you just kind of do what you got to do. But it's been, despite a few big early leads lately, it's been a few nail-biting weeks. So, man, everybody for the Colts was slinging. I think Pittman had the lowest points. Pierce there with 22 points. Barry McCockiner will be 2-0 on the week. Chief of Stafford, unfortunately, will have to settle for 0-2. And now, the matchup of the week. The two highest scores of the week. It was early on Sunday when it looked like it was definitely going to be one of these two that was going to get Superman of the Week for winning such a contested battle, one of the closest battles of the week, and probably the highest scoring battle of the year. I'm not going to look, but it's got to be up there. DeAndre Swift with 20 points. He's had a couple good weeks. Drake London with 33 points, of course, in the Atlanta Falcons throw fest. He had 12 catches for 154 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans was good. Brock Bowers was great, as he has been all year, the number one tight end this season thus far. T. Higgins was so good. Of course, when you have Burrow throwing 5 touchdowns, he's going to throw it to somebody. So the Superman of the Week is going to go to Eric, not only for winning this battle, but because he is outright in first place. Look at another fucking Colts wide receiver just getting points. 28 points from the Washington defense. It was just a huge game. Pat Mahomes. What a disappointing piece of shit he is. He's just, for fantasy football, he is not good. And speaking of not good, Josh Allen. This week was okay. You don't hate it, but 2 sub-10-point games for Josh Allen. That's a little concerning. At least that's what I'm hoping, because Eric at this point looks fucking unstoppable. He is 8-2 at the top of the rankings, followed by Barry McCockiner, Brown Neighbor Cook Smell, E.T. Foam Mahomes, Greasy Boners, Huge Erection, all at 7 and 3, which is crazy. And then we have Chief of Stafford, sorry, at 4 and 6, all by his lonesome. All this did this past week was separate the top 6 from the bottom 6. There was no bottom 6 teams that had more than one win, and I think it was just one person had one win. Mickey, was he the only one that had a win in the bottom? So yeah, there's a big 3W gap between 6 and 7. I'm loving all the activity that is going on, all the waiver wire moves, all the money that's been spent, and yeah, may your players stay healthy and ever unproductive.